So let's take a look at this problem. We call it intersection sum problem. So the problem says, given some intervals from I1, I2, all the way up to IN, and we want to take the intersection of each pair, II intersect IJ, where the I and J without repeating. So like we don't want to check the intersection of I1 and I1 itself. We want to check the intersection of I1 and I2, I1 and I3, etc. And then we want to sum them up, sum the length of all those intersections. So here is an example. So the example, we have 3 intervals in total. The intervals 2 to 6, 1 to 5, and 3 to 7. Right, we have 3 intervals. So we need to check, let's say this is the interval I1, and that's the interval I2, interval I3. And we need to check the intersection of the interval I1 and I2. This is the first intersection. And then we need to check the intersection of I1 and I3. This is the second intersection. And then we need to check the intersection of interval I2 and I3. Right? So it's actually a combination problem. But in total, there are 3 intervals. So we have 3 intersections to check. Right. So basically, if we have n intervals, and we need to check each pair of them, so there are n2 numbers of the intersection that we need to check in total. Okay. So then what is the intersection? So the intersection of 2, 6 and 1, 5 is 2, 5. Right. And the intersection of 2, 6 and 3, 7 is 3, 6. And the intersection of 1, 5 and 3, 7 is 3, 5. So put that here. So in the length of them, 5 minus 2 equal to 3, and 6 minus 3 equal to 3, and 5 minus 3 equal to 2. And we sum them together, 3 plus 2 equal to 8. And the final answer will be 8. Okay? So we want to write a MATLAB script to realize this process. So we want to have a MATLAB function. So what is our input? Our input are those intervals, right? So interval 1, 2, 3. But if in general, like we have hundreds of intervals, we have thousands of intervals, we don't want to have those individual intervals as our input. So a general way is to put all those intervals into a single matrix. Right? Let's say we have a matrix, and we put our first interval 2, 6 in our first row. So let's say this is 2, 6. Okay? And put our second interval 1, 5 in our second row. And analogously, the third interval 3, 7 in the third row of the matrix. Okay, so in general we have n intervals, and each interval we have 2 numbers need to check: the left endpoint of the interval and the right endpoint of the interval. So the matrix, the size of a matrix should be n times 2. Okay.